At my daughter's school play, my in-laws took the front row seats I reserved and told me to sit in the back, where I belonged. My husband took their side. I sat in silence until the spotlight turned and revealed something they didn't expect because I'm still angry about it. Not just about the seats. That night was a turning point. A moment I realized I'd been small for too long, shrinking myself to keep peace in a family that never saw me as one of them. It was the winter play at my daughter's elementary school in Stamford, Connecticut. Mia's school isn't fancy, just a typical public school in a decent neighborhood. But that play meant everything to her. She was cast as the lead in a kid-friendly version of Alice in Wonderland. She was Alice. She practiced every night for weeks. I helped her memorize lines, rehearse blocking, even worked with her on a little British accent for fun. She loved it, and I loved seeing her light up. So when the school opened reservations for the auditorium, I didn't waste time. I clicked the link the minute it hit my inbox. 2 front row seats, right in the center. I printed the confirmation and taped it to the fridge. She kept pointing to it and saying, "You'll see me up close, right, Mom?" And I'd say, "Of course." Front and center. That was the plan. Derek, my husband, said his parents wanted to come too.
Fine. I didn't mind.
They could get their own seats. I figured maybe a couple rows back or on the side. I even reminded him twice. Make sure they know I already reserved our seats. He didn't answer either time. Just nodded and kept scrolling through his phone. I should have taken that as a sign. The night of the play, I showed up 30 minutes early with a coffee in one hand and the laminated reservation in the other. The place was already buzzing, parents filing in, teachers greeting people, kids peeking out from the curtains. I felt proud walking into that auditorium. Mia had worked so hard. I wanted her to see me sitting up front, smiling, cheering her on. Then I saw them. Evelyn and Richard, my in-laws, seated in the exact front row seats I had reserved. Like they belonged there. Like it was their right. I stopped. At first I thought maybe there was a mistake. Maybe the school accidentally gave them the same seats? But no, I looked at my laminated printout. Same row. Same seat numbers.
He walked over slowly.
Hey. I think there's a mix-up. These are my seats. I reserved them weeks ago. Evelyn didn't even look up right away. Just flipped the program open and said, "Oh, well, we got here first." I blinked. Right, but I have a reservation. She looked up with that tight little smile I've seen 100 times. The one she wears when she wants to pretend she's being civil, but really she's just dismissing you. We're her grandparents. It's fine. You can sit somewhere else. Then Derek, standing beside them, arms crossed, just shrugged and said, "It's not a big deal. Just sit in the back." Just sit in the back. Like I was the babysitter. Like I wasn't the one who spent every night for weeks helping Mia get ready. Like I was a less. I stared at him. No emotion in his face.
No guilt.
Nothing. He didn't offer me his seat. He didn't say sorry. He didn't even ask if I was okay. And everyone around us could hear it. No one said anything, but they looked. They heard her tone. They saw how Derek didn't defend me. I could have made a scene. I thought about it.
God, I wanted to.
But then I thought of Mia. I thought of her peeking from behind that curtain, seeing me argue with her grandmother in front of a room full of parents. So I swallowed it. I walked to the back of the auditorium. I sat down alone. Could barely see the stage through the heads in front of me. But I stayed. The lights dimmed. The curtains opened. Mia walked on stage. And I swear, she looked for me. I saw her scan the front row. Then the second. She looked panicked for half a second. Then she found me in the back. And she smiled. She stepped forward, grabbed the mic, and before she said her first line, she said, "Hi, Mom. I see you." I could hear people around me laugh softly, like it was cute. But it wasn't just cute. It was her way of telling me she noticed. That she knew something wasn't right. She didn't even glance at her grandparents in the front. And when the play was over and all the parents rushed forward to take pictures, Evelyn stood like she had something to be proud of. Derek put his hand on her shoulder.
They posed with Mia.
I stood back, waiting my turn. But Mia pushed past them and ran to me first. That was the moment I knew I wasn't going to keep shrinking anymore. I stayed quiet that night. I didn't say anything in the car. I didn't confront them at dinner. But the wheels were turning. Because I wasn't done. And they had no idea what was coming. After the play, things didn't go back to normal. At least not for me. The next morning, I brought it up to Derek. I thought maybe, in the quiet of our kitchen, away from his parents, he'd finally understand how humiliating that night was.
How much it hurt to be pushed aside like that.
I just want to talk about last night, I said while pouring coffee. My voice was calm. I wasn't trying to fight. He didn't look up from his phone. What about it?
The seats.
You saw what happened. I had them reserved. They told me to sit in the back, like I didn't belong. And you let it happen. He finally looked at me. You're making too big a deal out of it. I stared at him. Too big a deal? I was in the back row. Alone. At my daughter's play. You still saw it, didn't you? Mia still saw you. It's not like they did it to be cruel. Yes, Derek. They did. That's exactly what it was. He shook his head and got up. I'm not doing this. You always take everything so personally. That was the start. After that night, things shifted between us. I didn't nag. I didn't yell. But I started noticing everything. How often he called his mother, how little he helped at home, how quick he was to defend her over me. A week later, I found out Evelyn had been picking Mia up from school without telling me. I only found out because Mia mentioned casually, Nana says you're too busy to get me, so she comes now. I was furious. I texted Derek immediately. Why is your mom picking up Mia without asking me? He replied. She offered. It helps.
No conversation.
No heads up. Just like that, she was replacing me. Showing up at school, smiling to the teachers, positioning herself as the stable one while I worked late to keep us afloat financially. Then came the whisper campaign. Other moms started acting strange toward me, avoiding eye contact. One even asked if I was doing okay in that pitying tone that says someone's been talking. When I pressed, she hesitated, then said Evelyn had mentioned I was struggling to balance things, that sometimes it's best when grandparents step in when the mom is overwhelmed. Overwhelmed? I wasn't overwhelmed. I was excluded. And they were building a version of me that wasn't true, one where I was the flake, the mess, the unfit one. And Derek never corrected it. Never defended me. I confronted him again. Your mother is trying to replace me.
You don't see that.
She's just helping, he said. You work so much. I work because I have to. Because we need two incomes. You think she'd pay the mortgage?
She's not the enemy, he snapped.
I didn't say what I was thinking. Then why does she treat me like one? I started documenting everything. The seat reservation. The school pickups. The comments from other moms. I started keeping emails, text screenshots. I knew I was being edged out of my own family, slowly, quietly. And then, 3 weeks after the play, Mia came home with a family drawing. There was a house. Evelyn. Richard.
Derek. Mia.
And me, drawn standing outside the house, in the rain, with no face. I hung that paper on the fridge. I didn't say a word, but I didn't sleep that night. Because I realized, they weren't just hurting me. They were changing how my daughter saw me. This wasn't just about a seat anymore. This was war. A few days after I hung Mia's drawing on the fridge, something happened that flipped everything I thought I knew. I got a call from Mia's school counselor. She asked if I could come in for a quick meeting.
Nothing urgent, she said.
Just to check in about Mia's emotional environment at home. That phrasing sent a chill down my back. I showed up the next morning. I sat in a small office with pale yellow walls and a smiling woman named Ms. Hadley who clearly didn't want to alarm me. But I could tell she wasn't just calling to chat. We've had some concerns, she started. Mia's mentioned feeling confused about some things at home. About roles. About where she belongs. I asked her what that meant, and she hesitated. She's expressed that sometimes she's told different things by different people. That sometimes she's told not to ask you for help with schoolwork because mommy's too tired or mommy's not as good at this. I felt sick. Who's saying that? She didn't name names directly, she said, but she talks a lot about her grandmother. And when we asked who helps her with homework, she said, Nana does because she said mommy gets it wrong sometimes. I just sat there, stunned, humiliated, furious. I went home and confronted Derek. I didn't scream. I was past screaming. My voice was low, flat. Your mother is poisoning my relationship with my daughter. He didn't deny it. He didn't even act surprised. She's just trying to help, he repeated like it was some kind of mantra. I looked him in the eye and said, no. She's trying to erase me. And you're letting her. That night, I opened my laptop and started digging. Passwords, shared bank accounts, digital files. That's when I found it. An email thread between Derek and Evelyn from a few months back. Subject line: backup plans if things fall apart. In it, Evelyn suggested that if our marriage deteriorated, she and Richard would be happy to let Mia and Derek move into their guest house temporarily. She wrote, you'd have support. You could start fresh. She was never really your match anyway. Derek responded, I know. I've been thinking the same. But I need to be careful. She has a lot of documentation. He knew. He knew I saw what was happening. He knew I wasn't going to just lie down. And he was planning his escape route with his mother, not with me. I copied every single email, forwarded them to a private account, printed them, too. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a setup. And it had been going on for months, maybe longer. But what they didn't know, what neither of them realized, was that I wasn't alone anymore. Because Mia's teacher had seen it too. She started writing me notes after class, discreet ones. Mia said Nana told her you don't come to events because you're lazy. Or, Mia cried today and said she doesn't know who to believe. The school was starting to take notice. So, I made a decision. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to show them who I really was. And when I did, when I finally stepped out of the shadows they shoved me into, it wasn't going to be quiet. It was going to be public. And it was going to be permanent. After I found the emails, something inside me snapped into place. Not in a dramatic, movie-style way. It was quiet, steady, cold. I stopped asking Derek to see things my way. I stopped defending myself to his mother. I stopped trying to prove I was the better person. Instead, I started planning. The first thing I did was contact a family law attorney, a woman named Rachel in Norwalk. I didn't want a divorce yet, not immediately, but I needed information. I needed to know what custody would look like, what financial disclosures I'd need, how to protect myself. Rachel was sharp. She listened, took notes, then looked me straight in the eye and said, start gathering. Quietly. Don't confront. Don't warn. Just prepare. So I did. I got access to our full financial history. There were credit card charges Derek never told me about, golf weekends with his dad, a business dinner that cost over $400 at a steakhouse I was never invited to. I got a burner phone. I set up a new Gmail. I copied every document, bank statements, emails, texts. I scanned Mia's school records, notes from her teacher, the drawings she made. At the same time, I started rewriting the narrative. Gently, quietly. When I helped Mia with her homework, I made sure to talk it through out loud. I didn't just give her the answer. I asked her to explain her thinking, encouraged her when she got stuck. I praised her effort more than her results. She started drawing me back into her world without even realizing it. She asked me to do her hair again before school. She brought home a Mother's Day card with glitter glued to the edges that said, "You're my safe place." That one broke me, but I still didn't act. Not yet. Then came the real break, when Evelyn showed up at Mia's school and introduced herself as her primary after-school guardian. The secretary called me. "Is that true?" she asked hesitantly. "Is your mother-in-law authorized for daily pickup?" "No," I said. "She's not. And I'll be updating the records today." That was the moment I moved. I scheduled a parent-teacher meeting. But I didn't tell Derek. I invited the counselor, the principal, Mia's teacher, and I brought a folder full of documentation. Every time Evelyn undermined me, every time Mia had been coached to mistrust me, I laid it all out. And I said clearly, I am her mother. Legally, emotionally, in every way. And I will not be erased. They listened. They took notes. The principal promised to update Mia's pickup list. The counselor said she'd be writing a formal recommendation for Mia to spend more consistent time with me and less in emotionally divided environments. I still didn't tell Derek. Instead, I waited. I wanted them to feel like everything was fine. I wanted them to sit comfortably in the lie they built. Because I had one more move to make. And I was going to make it in front of a crowd. I waited 3 more weeks. Just enough time for them to feel safe again. Derek stopped being cold. Evelyn went back to calling me by my first name like we were on even ground. They thought I had accepted my place in the back row, literally and figuratively. But I wasn't behind them anymore. I had spent those weeks pulling every string I had. Quietly, legally, strategically. Mia's school held an end-of-year family showcase. It wasn't just a play this time, it was a full evening event. Art exhibits, music, food, student awards. It was a big deal. And I made sure to be involved. I volunteered. I donated. I worked side by side with the staff. I showed up early, stayed late. By the time the event came around, the principal, the teachers, even other parents knew me, not as the quiet mom in the shadows, but as someone solid. Someone who showed up. I also made one important update. I changed Mia's emergency and authorized pickup list. Evelyn and Richard were removed. Only I and a trusted neighbor remained. Then, 2 days before the showcase, I served Derek with separation paperwork, quietly, through my lawyer. It included documentation, custody recommendations, financial discovery demands, and full evidence of the coordinated alienation campaign he and his mother had been running. He was furious. But I didn't fight. I just said, "You made your plans. I made mine." He tried to smooth things over. "Let's just go to the event together." For Mia. I nodded. Of course. For Mia. But the night of the event, I arrived early. I had a lanyard with a volunteer badge. I was helping set up the reception table near the gym, where the performances would be. I wore jeans and a simple white blouse. Nothing flashy. Just clean. Confident. Derek showed up 20 minutes later with Evelyn and Richard. Evelyn saw me and smirked. "Hopefully there'll be room for us up front this time," she said, loud enough for people nearby to hear. I didn't even turn to her. I just said, "You'll have to ask at the welcome desk." She marched over to the table where 2 teachers were handing out name badges. I watched her hand them her name. They looked up. "I'm sorry," one of them said gently. "You're not on the guest list." Evelyn's face changed.
What? Of course I am.
"I'm her grandmother." The teacher looked apologetic but firm. "We've been asked to enforce the updated list. Mia's mother provided it. You're not authorized." "She's being ridiculous," Evelyn snapped. "Let me in." The principal stepped in. He'd been waiting. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Beringer. This is a private, school-sanctioned event. Only authorized guests are permitted. We can't make exceptions." Evelyn turned to Derek, fuming. "Say something." But Derek couldn't. Because he'd already been served. He knew the school was backing me. He knew any public outburst could hurt his chances in court. They were forced to leave. They didn't see Mia's performance. They didn't see her receive an award for creativity. They didn't see her face light up when she spotted me front and center, clapping like crazy. After the event, the principal pulled me aside. "Just so you know," he said, "we're documenting everything. And we support what you're doing." When I told Mia later that night that I'd be moving out with her soon, to a new place, she didn't cry. She just asked, "Will there be space for my books?" I smiled. "There'll be space for anything you want." And that was it. No shouting match. No big explosion. Just quiet, clean separation. And the truth, finally exposed, in front of everyone who mattered. Evelyn lost control. Derek lost the upper hand. I didn't just get revenge. I got my daughter back. And this time, no one will ever push me to the back row again.